And with that, we have begun. So we are recording this. We can put it on the website. And so those of you friends who couldn't make it, point them toward the website. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Scott Doty, and I'm the president of the Eugene Smith Fund. And I wanted to thank everyone for joining us today. For this very, hang on, I got to admit somebody. For this very special webinar on applying for grants. This is the 46th year of the Smith Fund. And I'm very happy to say that once again, we're giving out 67,500 US dollars in grants this year. There's a Smith grant for 30,000, two finalist grants for $10,000 each, two student grants for $5,000 each, and the Howard Chapnick grant for $7,500. So those of you who are applying with a waiver, the deadline is September 23rd. And then if anyone applying without a waiver, the deadline will be October 5th. So I really don't want to take any more time from our wonderful speakers, but I do have to thank our sponsors because without them, none of this would be possible. The Philip and Edith Leonian Foundation, the Joy of Giving Something, Photo Wings, Earth Institute, the International Center for Photography, of Photography. I always do that. Anyway, the John and Ann Duffy Foundation and Synergy Communications. So that's it for me. I will be monitoring your questions. Please put them in the chat. And with that, take it away, Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Christ. I'm another board member, and I'd like to introduce two other board members who are here today, Lauren Wendell and Angela. Did you want to come and say hello? Come and say hello. So,
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela. Thank you for joining us.
so today we have with us two of the grantees from 2024. Both Gerd Waliszewski and Adriana Loureiro Fernández. And Adriana, if you'd like to go ahead and start talking about your project and letting us know how you applied, that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you. So I'm Adriana Loureiro Fernández. I am based in Venezuela, which is also where I was born. And I'm going to share my screen. Today I'm going to share my application. Please let me know like with a thumbs up or anything that you can like perfectly see this. And okay, here we go. So today, one sec. Let me make sure that this is working for everyone.
We can see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And if everyone else could please mute, that would be
please
great.
make sure you're muted.
Okay. So, today I'm going to be presenting Paradise Lost, which is the project that I applied with for the Eugene Smith grant. I'm going to get right into it so we can make the most out of it. So this is the application. It's what everyone can see when you log into the website. And I just highlighted what caught my attention when I was applying. I just very quickly, I'm going to go over this text or what I think is really important for my application. It says special consideration will be given to work that promotes social change and embraces new technologies and image distribution, and that seeks to integrate the tradition of photography and social change with contemporary practice. So that really caught my attention. And then, of course, we have to do a project description and a project proposal, which I'm going to get right into. Well, if this allows me to do it, I'm going to go right into it. Wait. Okay. So if you want to screen grab this was my project description. I'm not going to like read the whole thing, but I'm going to like go over my highlights of what I did there. So for me, the most important part, and that's also kind of, if I was really intent on reading like the fine lines of what they were looking for and what they valued in an application. So, I did not use artificial intelligence. I think it's kind of noticeable when you write like from your heart, and it's really heartfelt kind of project description. So when they say humanistically driven, I thought it was really important to be 100% humanly written and like explained. I started with my proposal, so with like developing the text and kind of the architecture of the project before doing my images. And for me here, also probably because I am photographing, the place where I was born and the place where I grew up, it's really emotional. There are some facts in my description, but it's not like a fact-driven like project description. It's more, it's emotive because I feel very strongly about it. And also here, I made a point of explaining why I think I'm a good candidate to tell this story. As you can see, I was very close to the top limit of characters allowed. This is my project proposal. Also, please feel free to screen grab this. I'm just going to go into like the highlights. So here, what I did is, going back to those, what I mentioned 2 slides before, I was really thinking about, what does social change mean? Like what does that look like for me? And how can my images be of purpose in that sense? How can I think of my archive and my future images in like a new light, and how can they become of service? My project proposal was flexible, but I do think like any long-term project proposal needs to be flexible. I used to be so tight about what I was going to do with projects, but then understanding that life happens, and I think it's really important to allow a project, especially for a grant like this, to have air and room to move. Having that in mind, I still think it's important to paint a clear picture of tangible outcomes so that whoever's reading your proposal kind of can imagine in their head like what this is going to look like, or a form of what it's going to look like by the end. And then of course, with everything that's happening right now in the world, I think it's really important for any project proposal to really talk about why this project. Like, there's so many important stories right now going in the world. So in my project proposal, I kind of did outline like the challenges of what it means to do a long-term project in Venezuela, and I think that helped. The way I worded, like I thought about my proposal was, I was going to continue covering Venezuela, which I have been doing. And then I also want to do this website that kind of repurposes my archive. So it's a 10-year project, and I want to put it in service of the country and the community, so that we can have a place to revisit our contemporary history and like our memory vault, so people can kind of interact with the photos. Paradise Lost is going on to its 11th year, so the vault of images that are there is kind of enormous, and I want that to help people remember, because I do understand that memory is really fragile, and in a country like this, we're constantly like challenged with this idea that we're not writing our own history, which can eventually become in like we're not even writing our own memory. Like it's being manipulated, and I wanna do a space. I'm building a space where we can kind of collectively build our own recount of what we have lived through as a generation. So that was basically my project proposal. As you can see, there's also on the upper limit of like characters that were allowed. So I really went deep there.
Adriana, before you
This
go
is
into
my,
the photos, I just wanted to ask, did you actually show either the text or your image edit to anyone before you submitted, just to get any feedback? I mean, just show it to any friends or colleagues at all?
well, okay. So I am usually the type of person who does that, but for this specific grant, I did not. I showed the text, specifically the text, to my mom, just to see if she thought this was of value. Like, Mom, do you think this would help anyone? And she kind of loved it. And so I went ahead with that. But about, like, regarding the images, I was kind of, I wanted to be, I didn't want any noise. Like, I knew what I wanted to say with the photos. It was so clear in my mind that I didn't really like ask for that much help other than the project proposal. That's kind of where I battled most in terms of, like, is this useful? Like, is this worthwhile? You know? Yeah.
Right. That's great. No, I'd love to hear more about how came down to your selection of images. That would be great. Thanks.
Yeah. So this is what I submitted in terms of photos. It's 24 out of 40. This was extremely difficult for me. As I said, this is a project that has been happening for, like, it's on its 11th year. So, there's just thousands of images, and what I call my wide edit is hundreds of them. But what I had in mind, because I see this as a visual journal of what we have gone through, is, how can I be concise? Like, how can I explain everything that we have gone through in the last 10 years? Like, what are the most important topics? And what is the most important image that illustrates this topic, right? So there's a lot of political violence. I knew I wanted to talk about that. I knew I wanted to talk about hunger. I knew I wanted to talk about poverty, but it was very clear to me that I wanted to talk about resilience. So I wanted that to be in every image. So that was kind of the driving force for me selecting every photo that is here. And then lastly, I knew that I wanted every photo to have its own weight, to carry its own weight. So to be able to stand on its own if needed. And I relied heavily on the captioning of each one to have that point come across. And for sequencing is kind of mysterious. It's like making music. It's hard to explain how to do it right. It's something that you kind of feel. But in this case, I relied heavily. I'm a color photographer, so color was a huge driving force for sequencing. And I also really like kind of textures, which I did a little bit of that here. And then stairs. I think the eyes are so powerful. So I did a lot of that in this kind of sequence here. So that's kind of how I came to this edit. I thought, with wide edits, like 40 photos, I think it's really important to have, like, or at least to me, it was really important to have every image be super strong and, like, have it exist on its own. Yeah. And of course, that being said, these are, like, all the images that I'm absolutely in love with that I had to, like, kill for the edit. I'm just gonna, like, fly through these.
So these
It's
are
hard.
the images you did not include in your submission?
Yeah, those were the ones that I cut. Yeah. Either because they were repetitive, just visually, or they were, as I said, like, to me, what was really important is to go into topics that I think are at the heart of the Venezuelan tragedy and have one image represent that fully. And so that was kind of the challenge for me in my edit. And so, yeah, these are all the outtakes. Well, there's tons more, but we wouldn't have time. It's a huge archive. So this is also what I'm intending, like what is being put in this website so that people can interact with these moments and with memories that they have from every moment. Yeah, and this is what actually made it. So I think I'm running short on time, so I'm not going to make a stop on every image. But this had a lot to do with environment and poverty and how kind of climate crises are making it so much worse for communities that are already struggling so much. But as you can see, like there's a running topic on like resilience and how you interact with a really harsh environment. I do want to make a stop here because there's like images that stay with you forever. And this here, what you're seeing is Magali Lozano hugging her cousin, Florinda Baez. They're indigenous women, and they were essentially, this is a bordering town between Colombia and Venezuela, and there was a big dispute with armed groups for the control of this area. And what ended up happening is that almost all of the men and boys of this community, indigenous community, were executed. The families were displaced. They had to run away with nothing, essentially. And these cousins hadn't seen each other for 4 years until this moment. For this indigenous community, you cannot, they don't allow for people, even amongst themselves, they don't like it when people see them cry, so they cover their faces all the time. But it was really important for me in a project like this to talk about the lesser known stories and have a space for them. Even for us in Venezuela, I don't think many people know that this massacre happened. And what it meant visually for this space that was still like, it's so desolate, and it just became like harrowing, but they're returning now, and like that's what I got to photograph. Then this is Kelly Vicuña and Darwin Contreras. I traveled with them for a week by land from Venezuela to Chile. They had met, they were political prisoners, and they met in prison, and they fell like madly in love. So once they were out, they decided to flee the country, and they invited me to come along. So this was like a week-long story, more or less, maybe more. They did get their asylum. This was in 2017. They had a girl, a baby girl together, and they're doing great. And then this one, yes. This is last one. This is Saida Bravo. She was 45 when I photographed her. She has Huntington's disease, but on top of that, she has very acute malnutrition. This was one of the harsher stories that I've had to photograph, which was hunger in the country. But I wanted to do it in a respectful way. Saida, because of her disease and because this place has no running water, so she just lives in this really dark room on this mattress without sheets because she cannot, like, sometimes she'll like pee, and they didn't have water to wash the sheets, so she just lived on this mattress in this really dark room. And during this visit, her niece, who like is this hand right here, opened the window for her, and I could tell she hadn't seen sunlight in a very long time. She's partially blind, not sure if that's from the malnutrition or from Huntington's disease, but her niece opened the window, and Saida just kind of bathed in the sun for a really long time. And it was kind of this moment where everything that was horrible kind of went away for a little minute, because she was so happy to have sunlight in her face. So what I want to drive, like what I'm trying to say here, I can make a stop on every single image, and I'll have stories like that for each one of them. What I want to try to say here is that even though when you see like 24 or 40 images that go like have been developed throughout like 10 years. It's not like a pass by. It's not like, oh, this person that I ran into. It's usually like a family or a group of people that I spend a long time with that, you know, kind of move me to my core. And that's kind of what was the driving force behind my editing process also. Like I wanted every image to have like a story that I could hash out, and I did hash them out in the caption especially. Yeah.
But I think that's one thing that really comes through in your pictures, Adriana, is that kind of respect and compassion for the people you're photographing. And I think that is one thing that the judges really look for also. So, thank you so much.
And
Is there anything?
Yeah.
Is
Well,
that
this
it?
is what I'm doing.
Uh-huh.
Almost. This is what I'm doing now with the fund. I mean, I'm mostly developing the website, but you know, for the integrity of the project and the integrity of the people behind it, they asked me not to share it just yet until it's out. But yeah, thank you. This is about
Thank
it.
you so much, Adriana. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's wonderful. And now I'd like to ask Gerd Waliszewski to go ahead and share his project and talk about his process in the fund.
Hello, everyone. I'm Gerd. I will just open up my PDF. I think you should see it, right? I hope so. I will start with presenting you my project, long-term project Between the Sirens that I applied with for the Eugene Smith Grant. And then I'm going to jump to how I applied for the grant. It is a body of work on young Ukrainians, people my generation, some younger, some older. But what they have in common is that they are going to be the ones responsible for the rebuild of the country, of the society, after the war ends. I photograph with a documentary approach. Um, and I'm not focusing on like a few characters, but I rather tell the story through a broad range of subjects. And I do combine portraits, situational photography, or landscapes, or so to say, the environments of the protagonists. I think that the photos can speak for themselves, and I'm gonna give you some insights about the um, editing, first of all, because I think it's the most important, of course, after the photographs themselves. And I usually, as I work on this project for like 3 years already, I was applying for a lot of grants and contests. But most of them, they allowed like 10 or 15 photographs per application. So I was very happy that I had a chance to show more because with this project, when started, I had already the idea of creating a book in my head. So I feel like this project works better when there are a lot of images. Um, and usually when I apply for like other contests, grants, an edit of 10 to 15 photographs doesn't really feel right and also kind of shallow. So it was nice to have the opportunity to edit this story like a film, you know. So I had the time to kind of unfold it. It could unfold in its own tempo. Um, there was like building. You can build up the tension very slightly, and then there's the climax. Then it descends again, you know. And it also feels kind of natural to this project because it's kind of like the situation on ground when photographing. Throughout the years, the situation with this war it changed. The beginning was very, very drastic, chaotic. Then the first summer, when the Ukrainian army stopped the Russian advance, you could really feel how life came back into into the people, and like the first cultural events would start, the bars and clubs would reopen. So I felt it's kind of like natural to the story that I'm telling. And yeah, usually I tell that I do the edit on my own. which is only partially true because I tend to forget that I spent the last 3.5 years in photography school. And I kind of had like professionals and fellow photographers look at this work on a daily basis, and they, of course, influenced my editing process a lot. So I would definitely advise to, yeah, show it to friends, photographers, and also people who do not deal with photographs professionally, because I feel that if a photograph is great, then they will be able to see it, and they might even tell like what is interesting for them, which is also an interesting insight. But yeah, definitely do not ask for advice the day before you send the application off. Like, uh, you know,
Gerd, we're not seeing any images. Are you trying to show us images yet?
yeah, yeah, I'm doing it all the time.
Oh, I'm not seeing it. I don't
Really,
know.
the present
Yeah,
is
I'm
not.
only seeing your first screen.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
problematic. Wait,
Okay.
I'm gonna start again, maybe.
Yes, please do. Go ahead, and now I'm seeing it, but
Now
it's
you're
still
seeing it.
not full screen, but
Now
we
it's
do
full
see.
screen.
Yeah.
Should be. Is it working?
I see another image, but it's still not full screen. So
Not full screen. Wait a second.
yeah, but that's all right.
That's all right. Okay, okay,
Well, I can still see the images, so it's
okay,
fine.
okay. I'm gonna start again, maybe.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you see it now?
Hmm.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna just like maybe be a bit faster with the with the images now. Um, well, so I said basically yeah, try to not show the or like not try to not to ask for advice with editing the day before signing off because it might cause some confusion. But yeah, in the end, it should be your edit, obviously. So I think you everyone can trust themselves. Um, And the next part is actually the writing. At the very end, I will show you two screens, like two slides. I hope you can see them then, with the description and the project proposal. Um, and usually with the uh, project description, I have one that I have prepared over like the years, and it's pretty short. But the Eugene Smith grant allowed to like give some more information. So I basically it's basically three parts of it. There's the beginning that is kind of descriptive, and where I kind of try to give a glimpse of the everyday life of people there. I also hope that it kind of catches the jury emotionally. And then I explain why I actually think that the topic of young people in Ukraine is so important and interesting right now. So kind of try to tell about, how every young person has its problems. Like it's actually like a pretty yeah, dynamic phase in everyone's life. And then there's like this big, huge event coming on top of it, like the war, that, this deadly thing that you cannot control in any way. And yeah, that's why I thought it's interesting to see and important, like how do people, young people, react to it? How do they cope with it? And basically, at the end, I posed the guiding question. Which signalizes that there is like a second thought to the project because obviously it is not just a project about young people, but it tells also something about society and the future. Um, that was it for the description. The proposal, actually, I think the most important advice that I could give to everyone is not to repeat the description because you already did that, and use the space to give some more information and some more information about your background, maybe. So I started with a short intro of the basic facts, like since when I photograph, what is it actually about, a brief summarizing. And then I continued with the technical parts, technical aspects of my work, because the jury would like to know how this project might look like. And I think paired with the With the portfolio, you can give a pretty good outlook what it might be. Um, Also, I would speak about the imagery that I would focus on, um, but of course also allowed some room for changes because as the wars were dynamic, I might also think that I would like to continue the project in a slightly different way. I think this freedom is important for every photographer or artist. And then a very important point is, I think, the personal connection that you should highlight. Because, especially in my case, I am not Ukrainian, so there's not a very obvious biographical reference to why I'm doing it. I think in any way anyone can make understandable why the project is important for them and why one is the right person to do it. And I feel that if you start digging a bit deeper, you might understand what is personal for you in this project. Because for myself, I also started photographing in Ukraine because I just felt drawn to it, but I couldn't really understand why I'm doing it. And also, people would start to ask me this question, and then I started to think and think. And yeah, I came to the conclusion, hey, like I'm not from Ukraine, I'm from Poland, but I remember that my family. Um, they were very, very strongly influenced by the Soviet oppression after the Second World War, but also already by the Soviet invasion during the Second World War. And I kind of started to see how my family, until these days, how they're influenced by it, like by intergenerational trauma. And I also understood how a violent, oppressive political system can cause this trauma. And that's what made me, um, you know, that's what created my interest for to observe the long-term consequences on individuals of a war, and in this case of the war in Ukraine. Um, and besides that, I think you should definitely highlight your soft skills, like maybe a language that you learned, just to kind of, yeah, once again, show that you're the right fit. And I ended my proposal with a very short budget breakdown. I felt it's not that important, but yeah, I was just like basically describing what I would use the money for, which in my case was accommodation and traveling expenses. And I wrapped the whole writing up with political references, the function of this project, why it's important right now, of course, and. Yeah, basically these were the points that I felt like I would like to share with you that kind of helped me navigate through this vast landscape of application.
That's really great, Gerd. Thank you so much. So,
Yeah, I don't know if we have some more time, if I should speed up with showing you the photographs. I don't think it's a lot of them left, but yeah, I forgot that I still have the slides for you that you are free to screenshot. So please have a look at my project description and project proposal. Here's the description. So take your time to screenshot it. I kind of also wrapped up some points that I found interesting or important.
that's great. You still have like 5 minutes. Go ahead,
Oh,
please.
really? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you have 5 minutes to screenshot it, basically, I would say. Yeah, but I think I kind of highlighted everything, so you can see that the description is divided in three parts. This beginning, the middle part where I speak about why the teenagers or young adults are that interesting for me, and of course the guiding question at the end. And here we come to the project proposal, which is of course a bit longer. Um, yeah, and here you can see also the points that I just mentioned. Yeah, for me, it was they were the most important ones. I know some people might say I should, focus on something else. But I think, I mean, I know this text is not perfect, but I also don't think that it's about perfection, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking here. So I think it's important to have like a personal touch and that the jury understands, hey, like you're really dealing with this project and you're really deep into it. Yeah, and I think you should be honest.
I think that's great. I mean, I think it makes so much sense that you're explaining, why you're working on this particular project, why, it means so much to you. I think that the judges definitely, will find that really crucial point. So, and one point I also wanted to make, the difference, one difference between the Smith grant and the student grant was with the primary Smith grant, you can actually propose new projects which you haven't actually started yet, but of course then you have to provide images that show the judges that you actually can do the project you're proposing, and also your text, your description has to be very, very strong. But with the student grant, you do actually have to propose a project that you've already started, so it cannot be a new one that you haven't begun at all. So just to make one crucial point. So
Yeah, I think it also helped kind of that already had all these images, so I think it was easier for the jury to understand what it is about. I think if I would only send the text, it might look a bit different.
yeah,
But yeah,
exactly. Exactly. It's definitely more powerful. So thank you so much, Gerd. Thank you, Gerd
sure.
and
Thank
Adriana.
you. Thank you.
Yeah, we really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. So, Scott, did you want to see if we had any questions that came in at all?
At this point, there's nothing in the chat, but what we could do, since there's only about 20 of us,
Mhm.
Gary, if you want to stop sharing,
Yeah.
if anybody has a question, they could do a hand raise thing or whatever. Oh, does somebody have a question? Go ahead and unmute if you do. It's
So,
funny. I put my hand up and it automatically like did a little emoji on my screen.
so that was you.
Wow, you guys were so brilliant. There are no questions.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I actually have a few points that I wouldn't mind bringing up. One is that don't be afraid to apply again if you've applied in the past, because as Scott has pointed
Yeah.
out in previous webinars, the judging panels change every year. And so you never know kind of what might appeal to a particular judge, even if it was a project that was overlooked in past years. So
Yeah. I mean, Mark Peterson applied at least 3 or 4 times before he actually won the grant. So, and
yeah.
I would say like quite a number of people have applied more than once or twice or
Mm,
3 or 4 times. I know some photographers apply every year.
yeah.
But
It's
and so it's one of those things where it's your projects change, your relationship to the project changes, the judges change, which is always an exciting thing for us. We like to bring in new people every year. We've got a great group coming up this year, which will be announced, I believe, tomorrow.
yeah, the next day
So
or two.
I can't. So
Yeah.
look out for that. Um,
So,
but I think, I mean, the most important. I always find the most important thing is just when you're applying and your projects, it just comes from your heart. It's like, ask yourself, would I do this project if I don't get the grant, if I don't get the money? And if you can say, yes, I will, then I think you're in a really good place. Oh, somebody just joined us at the very last minute.
oh
Got the
dear,
time wrong.
maybe they had a time difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's always something to me that I think is really is sort of is a good sort of litmus test. Like, okay, no matter what, I'm going to do this project. No matter what, I'm going to continue with it.
So,
Alessandra, you have a question. Let's see. I would like to know if in our proposal we can include the creation of a photo book with the images of the proyecto or website, or does it only include transportation for the photographer? No, it can include anything, pretty much everything. It's not, you don't apply for transportation. You apply to make it, whatever you need in order to complete your project, whether that's travel, whether it's, being able to pay your rent for staying somewhere or being able to pay your rent for staying at home. It really is about what do you need in order to complete this project,
And I will
as
say
much as
though
anything.
that,
But like as it should have, it is also, but it is about like, um, having the funds and giving that will give you the time in order to do what you need to do.
but I will say though that for the Smith and student grants, you cannot be applying for funds only to make the photo book.
No,
It's really, the funds are meant to be for the creation of the images. So if the making a photo book at the end is part of your application, that's great. But it cannot only be about what you do with the
yeah,
images afterwards.
yeah. It's all about creating new imagery for them, or expanding on the imagery you already have, about expanding the story, about digging deeper into a story. It's not about um, creating like an exhibit or or a book. It really is it's to allow you to go deeper into a project, to extend a project, and to really expand on what you've already done or start something new as well.
Because it is true, one thing that Adriana talked about is the fact that it was going to create a website afterwards. And I think that is something the judges are very interested in is, one, the funding is going to go to creating the images, but then what do you do with the images afterwards? If you want to create a photo book, an exhibition, that's great, and definitely mention that, but you cannot have completed the project already. But I will also say that if you mention, the distribution or reaching audiences with the images afterwards, and especially if it talks about giving back to communities, the communities that you've covered, that can be a really important point also. So don't neglect that. One other
One
thing,
other, one,
oh,
oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, Scott,
One
go
other thing
ahead.
I would add is we're all, as an organization, as the fund, we're also very interested in, if you have ideas beyond just creating images, but more, having multimedia, having video and other aspects to your projects. That is definitely, in my mind, a bit of a plus for you. So and don't it's not you don't have to necessarily hold yourself to just imagery, but like video and websites and other ways, because I think we tell stories today in such a vast new way of getting the word out there and making things available to people, and I think it's important that um, you know as the fund is embracing that and a lot, and I think it's very important that that is part of what we look for as well. Or
Oh,
we don't deny, it's
right.
not just about like maybe it can be a broader range of how you want to tell your stories.
Well, those stills are still the heart of the, I would say, the grant, but
Yeah, don't
yeah.
not make single images, but
Yeah, I think
but you
submitting
can.
only videos would not work for this group.
Well, we don't know. Nobody's done that yet,
Yeah,
so we'll
no,
have to
it's
wait and
true.
see.
It's,
I'd
it
be
all
cool with
depends
it.
on the judges. It all depends on the
Yeah, if I were
judges.
judging, I'd be cool with it. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's true. So another thing that I'll mention just as a caveat is when you're drafting your description, the text for your description of the project, just make sure there's not a big disconnect between the images that you're submitting and the text, because sometimes, people will give a really elaborate description of what they think their project is, and then you see the images and it doesn't match at all. You know, it doesn't feel like you're talking even about the same project. So that's one thing to watch out for. So also no AI generated images. That is one of the hard and fast rules. So
I mean, we do, just so it's, you know, clear, we do. If you want to use AI for like helping you write the project, that we do allow that.
right.
Okay, hi, I'm Amador. Hi, if my work includes audiovisual material in the way of a short film or a video installation, besides the photographic body of work, what would be the best way to include that work in the application? You can upload a video into the Picture site, so that would be the way to do that.
And are there any other questions? Please, you know, this is your chance to ask us directly. Any questions that you have? That's one advantage of the fact that you belong to one of our partner groups. So please, you know, let us know. Otherwise,
Now, because like once we sign off, you're going to go, oh, wish I had asked that.
I know, it's true. Although if you do have any questions afterwards, you can always write to the email that's on the website. It's info@smithfund.org. And that's Scott will personally answer.
This is true. I was going to say, and I will answer you. I promise.
Yeah, he really will. So, but you know, again, just to wrap up, and you know, please, if you have another question, go ahead and post it.
Hang on. Is there
Okay,
a time deadline in which the funds must be used if we get the grant? You know, we try to say, you know, we want you to finish the project within the year.
18 months. 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah.
Website.
Yeah.
So, and you know, so yeah, 18 months, and no, we're not gonna withhold funds or anything like that if you go longer.
So,
You know, it's you know, we understand life happens, things happen, but as long as you can show that you're continuing the work and that you're still passionate about it.
So just to review.
Oh, we have one more question.
Oh,
yeah, now they're starting to flow in. Do you have references
good.
on previous winners which does not approach with a debaucherous style, but something more editorial, fine art oriented? You know,
I mean, I think of Yael Martinez and Marisol El Toro and Laura Altantawi, I think also. There are a couple of people who are a little bit more fine art oriented. And I would say, especially since 2020, when the grant was split into 5, that year and probably the next year, there were more people who were less journalistic in terms of their style. So if you want to take
I would add Irina Werning as well.
Yes, right.
For sure.
Right, true. So yeah, there were people.
And I think we'll see, you know, and they're seeing more and more of that, and you know, it's and I think as long as there's a purpose behind it and a strong idea and a social consciousness to it, we're very open to different genres, different ways of looking at things.
I think you'll see when the judges are announced in the next day or two, you know, that there are people who will be more open to different approaches, I think. So also I want to give a plug for the Chapnick grant. And also please keep putting any questions if you have them in the chat. But also, you know, the Chapnick grant, it's a $7,500 grant, and it is aimed toward organizations and to groups, not just to individuals. And so it's any sort of organization that uses photography, that promotes photography in an educational spirit. And so there can be a whole range of different kinds of, you know, groups that could be benefiting from that money. And especially, I think, organizations outside the US, because that money will go further. But you know,
actually, it's interesting.
Judges, yeah.
Paul Gambin is with us, who was the recipient of, and he has a question of the Sapnick grant last year. So, could you tell us what the Monica on iPhone? What is the name of the last grant you meant? It's the Howard Chapnick grant.
Yeah, it's a third grant on the website.
Yeah.
You'll see it. So besides Smith and students.
Yeah. So Paul asked, could you tell us a bit about whether you might be open to more experimental approaches like distorting images or combining images with other media?
I should let you answer that, Scott.
Well, it's interesting because I think if we went through the entire board, we'd get like 8 different answers on this one.
I think so too. Yeah.
Personally, I'm sort of open to, like, as long as it, if you can justify it as to why you did it, and it has, and it helps you make the statement that you need to make, and it has a social and a real meaning, a social and an editorial meaning to it, that I'm open to. I would be open to that, as long as it's not AI generated, and as long as it's like, it's done in a way that you are bringing something to the table that I think is important. That, like, that.
No, I would be open to it too. But again, you can look at the judges and kind of make it calculated.
Yeah, but and you can look at it, but you never know how somebody's going to react. So I think if you really believe in it, and it's the way you want to tell your story, then do it.
That's the most important.
It's really important. Like, is this, because I think we're looking for your personal. I mean, it all comes from your heart, from your soul, from the way you think, the way you feel. And I think if that's how you can express that, then that's the way you should do it. And hopefully people will see it and understand it and accept it. And I'm not so worried that it's like, necessarily like a black and white still image, as Smith used to do. I think Smith would be embracing all this new stuff as well. That's my guess. I don't know, but that's my guess.
Since you're communing with his spirit, but
I have been. We're gonna have. I've been putting together a whole video thing with his words and so forth. So yes, I've been communicating.
Yeah. So.
Hang on, one more, Maria Fernanda.
Okay.
Sorry if you mentioned it during the webinar, but what is the recommended number of pictures to send for this grant? What's your advice at the time of sending pictures?
I mean, the limit is 40 images, and actually, I saw on the website for the student grant, it's 39 because the 40th image does have to be your student ID. So that's the number of images. But as Adriana pointed out, she only submitted 24. So you want a really tight edit with an incredibly strong first image and last image, and no weak images, because that's the first thing that's going to get your application knocked out of running, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, if you go, I'm not sure about this one, don't put it in.
Yeah, that's probably true. So I need to wrap up because we are exactly on the hour.
Oh, and hang on. Paul has one more question.
Oh, hurry.
What about sending 2 series of photos with 40?
No. That's not allowed. Only one.
Not.
One set
only
of 40.
One. You only get one. Unless it's two. What if it's 2 separate? Oh, I guess you could apply twice with 2 separate projects.
No, you cannot.
But that would be, the judges are going to say, well, this person doesnesn't really know what they're.
No,
really want to
it
do.
says specifically on the website you can only apply once. Only.
Oh, I better read that.
Yeah, you should. The Chapnick grant, you can apply more than one time, but for the other 2 grants, you can only apply once. So, and then Marcello has one last question. No, you do not need the schedule and budget in the project proposal. Yeah. No, do not even get.
Please do not waste the time on that.
No, yeah. So, because we know that things will change, so that's fine. So, but please don't hesitate to ask us any more questions at the email that I put into the chat. And again, to review the deadlines, September 23rd is the waiver deadline, and please only ask your organization for a waiver if you sort of fit within the demographic alignment of that specific organization. And then October 5th is the application deadline for everybody. So if you don't request a waiver, you can still apply before October 5th or on October 5th. And then if we hope to see all of you applying. And thank you so much again to Adriana and Gerd, and of course, Scott, to you. And thank you all for coming.
I just
and
let somebody
Angela and
in,
Lauren, too.
unfortunately.
Oh dear, I'm so
Esteban
sorry.
Vega, I'm sorry.
Yes, we're just wrapping up.
We're
but
just
please,
wrapping up.
yeah,
But
and
if you have
please go
any,
to the website in a few days, and the video will
yeah,
be
and you could
posted.
also join us. There will be another webinar.
Oh yes, true.
For
There's
the
a second
public.
webinar.
Do you want to mention that real quick?
Oh, Esteban, I'm sorry. Can you mute for a second? Thank you.
Yeah, I did.
So on the 20th, on Saturday, Mary Calvert will be presenting her project, and it's a public webinar that's open to everyone. It's free. So if you'd like to encourage anyone to watch that one, if you have more questions, we'll also be taking live Q&A at that point. So thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thank you, Adriana and Gary.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Lauren and Angela, for coming too.
And thank you, Elizabeth, for being the hostess with the mostest.
Great. Great to
All
see
right.
everybody here.
Gonna end. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.